Alright, welcome back to our playthrough of Final Fantasy VI. We are at part 2 now, and we are picking up right outside of Narshe, which is way back at the beginning of the game. And we are now heading south on the world map. We have two characters in tow with us. We have Terra and Locke, who we just picked up after he rescued Terra from that fall through the floor there. And we're now on our way south, and we're going to see where we go. And as we go through this portion of the game, we're going to see that the enemies are going to start to get tougher. But again, at this level, even at this stage, most of these enemies are pretty much just one-shots, with a couple rare exceptions. Because we are getting back attacked, the attacking is not going to be as easy as it could be. Of course, the back attack means that the enemies get the first shot in, whereas a preemptive attack means you get the first strike, and your battle bar is filled up automatically, which is kind of nice. Alright, so now we're heading into a desert area, and we see a castle here, which is going to be a very key part of the story right about now. We've got a few sand enemies to take care of, and again, these are pretty much all one-shot enemies, nothing to really be concerned about right now. Terra's health is getting a little bit low, but not really worried. Really part of the game. As we get into this story, it's going to be very heavily story-driven, and there's not going to be quite a whole heck of a lot of action until the latter half of this video here. So just bear with us once we get into the castle. If you are looking for action, just go ahead and you can skip toward the end, or at least the second half of the video. And we're about to move into the castle here. Nothing too complicated. We are picking up quite a bit of gold, and we're going to need that to buy some stuff as we get in here. So we go to the castle. We see it's called Figaro Castle. They go ahead, they're going to let us in. And a few things we can do. There's a couple stairways down there. We're just going to bypass it, go straight ahead. All the way through, by castle guards. And we're going to head off to the right here because there's some very important stuff that we're going to pick up for a character we're going to be seeing very quickly, very soon here. Alright, in these chests we have a tonic and an antidote, which is useful for healing poison. Now we got a few different tools here, auto crossbow, bio blaster, and noise blaster. We're going to purchase two of them because the first one is going to be automatically equipped and in our possession when we get this new character. It's always nice to have more things in your possession from the very start, so that's why we're doing that now. Now we picked up a thing called Soft, which will heal you from stone status, which is a very nice thing to have. So that's a nice little item shop. We aren't really familiar with too many of those items now, but they will come in handy, and they will become much more familiar and frequently used as the game progresses here. And we come up upon this new character called Man, and he's just kind of checking her out. Who do you think you are? Well, we're going to see exactly who he is right about now. Agree with me. And right about now, he's the young king of Figaro Castle. His name is Edgar, so otherwise known as King Edgar, or just Edgar we'll call him. So he runs the castle, and it's a very big castle, lots to see here, a lot of backstory, there's lots of people to meet and talk to and learn about. And we're going to do that over the next few moments here, learn about this castle, see what we're doing here, and hopefully he can be of some help to us in figuring out what to do. Alright, and we find out that Figaro and the Emperor are actually allies. So does that mean that they're bad guys, good guys? We don't know, we're just kind of learning right now. And we do find out that Edgar is kind of interested in Terra's abilities, but he's just more smitten with her than anything. And he's going to go ahead and let her go, and at this point Terra is free to roam the castle by herself, and we're going to see what we can come up upon here. So as we leave this throne room, head back out. This is a good chance to purchase any of those extra items or tools if you haven't already done so and you feel like you need them. Again, I would just make sure that you definitely have, not the auto crossbow, because we're already going to have that, but you do want to have the other two, the bio blaster and the noise blaster. Those are two very useful tools to have. That's a place where you can save your progress. Well, not save, but rest. So regain your health and your magic. Not really worried about that right now because that will be done automatically for us. Now we're going to leave here, head over into the left tower, and it's going to trigger a cutscene. We're going to learn a little bit more backstory about this castle, about King Edgar, and about somebody else who has yet to be introduced into the story. So she says Edgar had a twin brother. Well, who is this twin brother? Alright, and we see this blonde-haired guy coming out from the bottom here, and anybody who has played this game obviously knows who he is. He is one of the best characters in the entire game, but I will not spoil the surprise until much later here. So right now, he's only being referred to as a youth. He's obviously the brother of Edgar, as we're finding out. Something clearly is wrong. Edgar is walking away because tears were noticed. Who exactly is this guy? Well, we're about to find out. He is Edgar's twin brother, traded the throne, and this person's name is Sabin. So as I mentioned, Sabin is one of the most physically gifted characters in the entire game. His strength is just about unmatched. In fact, it probably is top tier out there. And I'm looking very forward to getting him into my party here. Anytime we have a chance to form a party, we're almost always going to have him in the mix here. We look very forward to maxing him out and using his skills. But for the time being, we don't have him. We don't know where he is. So we're back to Terra. We're going to leave that section, go back into the main area of the castle here. And we're going to head back up, and we're just going to go ahead and we're going to take a rest here, just in case our health hasn't already been restored. We came in here with less than 50 HP, which is pretty bad for any area of the game, let alone the very beginning. So Terra's back to full health. We're going to go ahead and leave this section here and leave this area. And we're going to go back into the throne room where Edgar was. And we will pick up the story from there. And we'll see what else we got to do from this point forward. There's a new character we haven't seen yet. That's the Chancellor of the Castle. He's an NPC, non-playable character. It's kind of interesting to point out. So here we are. Edgar is back on his throne. And, oh, someone from the Empire to see you. Interesting music playing. Probably Kefka. That would be this guy right here. And as you guys are going to come to find, Kefka is one of the most maniacally twisted, crazy, cracked characters in all of the Final Fantasy universe here. Asking the guards to take sand off his boots in the desert. Yeah. So, they're going to continue on forward, and let's see what this interaction's all about, idiots. And he's just going to go ahead and shove him out of the way. Come on up through, and let's see. King Edgar is coming to meet Kefka. What's going to happen now? Alright, talks to a couple of the guards. Not a whole lot to really worry about here. And what brings Kefka here? Girl of no importance. Oh, you mean Terra, that one, right? And Edgar is pretty good at covering his tracks here. Kefka's not interested. I think he suspects that somebody's lying here. Edgar's doing the best he can, but I think Kefka suspects what's up. But for the time being, they are leaving the castle. A little bit of dialogue between these two. Okay, so once again, it looks like everything's back to normal, at least for now. So it's about time for Terra to head to bed here. So Locke is going to take her over to her room. She's going to take a little nappy poo. And we're going to get ready to engage in another cutscene, I believe. So Locke is leading Terra out to her room. You can do a little exploring here if you want to, but there's really nothing of interest. So we're just going to keep following Locke down the stairs. Go out the castle door and over to the right-hand side, into the right-hand tower. This is going to be where Terra stays for the night at least. And we're going to be drawn into another cutscene very soon after a little bit more dialogue between Locke and Terra. So, yeah, once again, I apologize. This second part of the video is very much story-driven, so not a whole lot of action here. There will be a little bit coming up as we leave this castle and get back onto the world map, but for the time being, like I said, lots of story-driven dialogue, so just kind of bear with it for a little bit. Once again, if you're not interested in reading this, just go ahead and fast forward to second half, if not maybe the 75% of the way into the video here. And we will get some action. It is coming up, I do promise. So basically, Locke here is telling Terra that she needs to find her own way. Terra's still not quite sure what to do at this point. Alright, we got some pretty ominous music playing in the background here, and as we come to, it looks like Edgar is in his bed, so he must have been woken up by something. Clearly something's not right. He's going to head outside. And holy smokes, literally, it looks like his castle's on fire. Gee, I wonder what could have happened here. What could have caused this? Of course, it was the Empire and Kefka. Like I said, I think he suspected the jig is up. I think he knew all along. Was not telling the truth. Edgar's not going to bother. It looks like he's going to have to give up Terra. Change your mind. Or do I? Looks like he's going to run away. Kefka thinks he's running away. How little he knows what's about to happen here. And there's Edgar, Locke, and Terra all on the 3 chocobos all at the same time. And they are about to escape. Here they go. Dive. What do they mean by dive? Ooh, check this out. That's right, folks. This is a submerging castle. It can dive underground into the sand. Check that out. Touch the people of Figaro. Well, literally nobody can touch anybody now. And down they go, underground, under the sand. And Kefka is left lying on his rear. Check that out. Well, looks like he got made a fool of, but he's still around. Uh-oh, looks like the 2 mech soldiers are coming after him now, and we're going to have a little boss fight. Alright, so now we have 3 characters to choose from and work with. We have Edgar, Locke, and Terra. Edgar appears to be the strongest of the 3 right now, 169 health. Locke and Terra are fully restored, and check this out. Terra's going to blast with some fire. Edgar's going to play out with his new tools, so there is a reason why we chose to get those tools back in the castle, so we have a bigger arsenal to use. Whoa, check this out. I always found this part of the game funny. Whenever you use Terra's magic spells for the first time around these 2, they will immediately interrupt the battle mid-fight, and they'll have a conversation with dialogue right in the middle of the fight. I always thought this was hilarious. So they're just basically talking about Terra in the middle of the fight. Meanwhile, you got enemies on the right, Terra's on the left, completely oblivious to what they're talking about. It's like, hello, the enemies are there, they're gonna freaking kill you, what's going on here? And they're continuing to have dialogue, going back and forth. So basically, okay, we know Terra can use magic, they can't. At least not now they can't. There will come a time in the game where anybody can use magic. That time is not now. So basically, Terra's our magic user. She's going to be able to help heal, and she is a fire mage. So any kind of fire spells will go directly through Terra. Edgar's going to use his noise blaster, and it does work on the mechs, and as you can see, it's the confuser. So usually what I like to do if I'm going to use the confuse spell is let loose, let the enemy attack, because if you hit the confused enemy before they get a chance to use a summon or use an attack, it basically is a complete waste of a turn. So go ahead, let them do it, and then go ahead and fire after they hit a confused enemy here. Alright, so we take down the little mini boss, so to speak, and they're not coming back around. They're going to pass Kefka on the left, and they're basically going to run away, and they're going to head for Figaro, we presume. They'll pay for this. Oh, if only we knew. Alright, so we got a lot of dialogue coming up here. As I said, they're basically going to talk to Terra a little bit about her magical powers, where she got them from, and things of that nature. And from here on in, they're just taking a long chocobo ride south to a cave, which will lead to the town of Figaro. And right about there is going to be where we take our next save for part 2 here. And part 3 will be where we pick up in the town of Figaro. But for now, we're going to keep on going here on this magical ride on the chocobos here. And as we're coming to learn, what we're coming to suspect rather, is that Terra may not be completely human. We think that she may be some sort of an alien, extraterrestrial, something, because no human is born with the powers that magic, that Terra has in order to use the fire spells, the cure spells, and things of that nature. So, Terra doesn't exactly know who she is or where she comes from, but she knows she is something or someone special, and we're about to find out who, and how, and why. So yeah, we're headed south to South Figaro, and we are now on the overworld map, and we are looking at some Mode 7 graphics here. I was always very fond of these. We're headed into the cave, which leads to South Figaro. We're going to hop off. Now be careful, because once you hop off the chocobo, it will disappear forever. And you'll never see it again unless you were to somehow, find one on the map again. Alright, so we're going to head into this cave, and we're going to take it all the way into the town of Figaro. Alright, as we head into this cave, we see there's a spring of water up here, along with a turtle just randomly drinking it. We can't really go into that cave as it's blocked by water, so we're just going to keep on going for now. Got a couple areas to go through, and we're going to have quite a few battles. And really the main purpose of this section in this cave is to really test out Edgar and play around with his tools and just see what he's capable of doing. So at first glance, we can see he's got more hit points than anyone else out there. And that's pretty typical anytime you pick up a new character in this game. They're usually going to be leveled slightly higher than the others, just to kind of show them off and show what they can do. And Edgar is absolutely a very capable character, very strong. He's also he's a decent magic user when you get to the point of using magic. Here's another tincture we just picked up that will allow you to recover up to 50 magic points if you necessarily need it. Not going to be using too much magic on the way because our strong characters are definitely strong in strength. Just going to be walking around and moving through this cave. Really, we could spend a long time here just power leveling if we really wanted to, but we're not going to do that today. At least not now anyway. We're going to make use of Edgar's tools. That auto crossbow is an amazing hit-all option. It takes care of pretty much everything in one shot. Here we go. Terra, now if you pay close attention there, she did gain a level and she gained a spell called Antidote, which is actually short for antidote, which is a spell which will allow you to cure poison. That's a very useful spell early on in the game. Incidentally, in case anyone's curious as to why that spell is called Antidote and not Antidote, that just has to do with a little issue with games back in the 8-bit and 16-bit era. A lot of times back then, the file size for certain names and of certain items and characters and stuff was limited to only 8 characters, and that's why you have those weird spelling issues, such as you might see back there with Antidote. There's a couple other instances that come to mind. Some of the swords will be abbreviated with weird names, and we'll kind of point those out as we come to them. So we picked up another tincture for refilling some magic. I guess they're assuming that at this point in the game we are relying heavily on Terra's magic spells, which you could, but again, it's not really necessary when you've got hit-all attacks like Edgar's Bioblast and Auto Crossbow and things like that. So it's not really necessary. We're just going to stock up on those tinctures for now, and we're going to open up some of these chests and see what comes out of there. And here we get another Phoenix down, so there's another example of it being misspelled or abbreviated. So we all know how Phoenix is supposed to be spelled, but again, I guess due to file size limitations, they spelled it F-E-N-I-X instead of P-H-O-E. So anyway, getting back to the game, we have more instances of very simple crawly enemies. Again, not too much of a challenge. We're really using this as a time to kind of build our levels and move on through the cave. There's that auto crossbow instant death kill. Moving on, moving on, moving on. Again, lots of gold here, which is going to be really useful for when we get to Figaro. Going to have an opportunity to buy a lot of equipment, armor, shields, swords, relics eventually. When we get there, we'll explain what those are. And we're really just about done with the cave here. We're just running into a lot of unfortunate short distance fights here, which can be kind of annoying, but it does happen. And even here, we're using the hit-all magic spell, and it still didn't kill them outright. So you can see why it's still preferable to go with Edgar's attacks versus Terra's here, just because they're just more powerful. He's a more powerful character at this point in the game. So we're going to keep on moving through and go up this, or go down these stairs, I suppose, into the last section of the cave that we have access to at this point. Another set of crawlies. We'll just leave this to Edgar, use his auto crossbow. What the heck, go with the Bioblaster just to show it off. We don't get to see it that often. I think the last time we saw it was back in the Narshe cave when we had the Mech Warrior and Terra showed it off, so it's just a different variation of it. And that takes out what we hope to be the last of the crawlies. Terra gains yet another level. She's getting even stronger. Maybe she'll be into triple-digit health at this point, eh? And it looks like she's finally going to escape from the cave, and we should be very close to the town of Figaro right now. We're in the southern portion of this continent. And before we go there, we see there's a lone house up here. So we're going to take a little pit stop, and we're going to see what's in this house right now. And as we can see, Edgar is looking around. He notices some things, and he's just going to look around to see what we got. He's going to take a little bit of a nap, rejuvenate the party's health, which is a good place to do it, by the way. Continue looking around. You can look in the pot, the stove. Ooh, what's this? Another tonic. His favorite tea. His favorite dishes. As if you could have favorite dishes, but whatever. Just check out the beds. And yep, you can basically sleep in all three of them if you want to. I guess we're just trying them out to see which one feels the best, huh? And we're going to keep on moving on. Really not a whole lot to see here. We're just checking everything out. Making sure we've done everything we can possibly do. And yep, we're going to keep on going. I think it's time to get out of here. We'll check out these plants way over here. flowers. I think it's time to leave. Sabin was here. Now, was this Sabin's house? We don't know. What the? Left a couple days ago after he heard his Master Duncan was slain. So I guess Master Duncan's who trained Sabin, and he's off to find him. So I guess that may be a little side quest that we're going to have to endure a little bit later after we're situated with Figaro, which is right down there actually, over to the left. Now here we ended up getting into a side attack, which we're basically getting the enemies into their own pincher attack. And this will essentially double the damage, make it easier to score bigger hits. That auto crossbow comes in big time handy, but it still didn't kill enemies here, so they're getting tougher now. It's actually a good thing that we've leveled up in the cave. You can only imagine what it would be like if we didn't do that. So here we are, we're now moving into the town of Figaro officially. And we're just going to fool around here, and there's a guy in black garb, ninja garb, running around. I wonder what that has to do with anything. We're going to go into this inn, and let's take a look and see what we got here. This guy's talking about relics. He's equipped the speed boots, the sprint shoes, and those are actually really helpful to have. Make the game go twice as fast, and I highly recommend that you equip those as soon as you possibly can to just make it easier to move through the game at a much faster pace. And here Mog is telling us about some of the different relics that are available to us. Really, the only thing we care about right now is the sprint shoes. Now, you could spend time to buy some of the other ones. We're not really interested right now. We have a limited amount of gold points, GP, and we're going to utilize those to buy some other things, like I said, weapons and shields and armor and stuff. So we will come back. I always look at relics as nice to haves, not need to haves, but with very rare exception. So we have yet another chance to take a rest if we need to. But since this is an inn, you have to pay for that, and we're not going to do that right now. Empire attacked Figaro Castle. Yes, we know that. Alright, we move into the bar, the cafe. And ooh, look over here. Here's that masked guy in black along with his pet dog. We have no idea who he is. Oh, looks like we got another fade to black cutscene coming. He owes allegiance to no one. And his name is Shadow. So Shadow is a mercenary ninja that will appear from time to time throughout the first half of the game. Very helpful. He has a lot of nice little tricks up his sleeve, hits very hard, has a lot of things that he'll throw like ninja stars. Not going to come into handy right now, but as I said, will certainly come in handy later in the game. Sometimes we got things here we can take a look at. Go through this door, what do we got? Really nothing of use here. There is a guy talking about bringing cider to an old man. Can't really do much with that now, so we don't know what he's talking about, but we will let that go. We'll just have to worry about that at a later date and time, I guess. So we'll just move on out of here. Dog eats strangers. I don't know about that. I'm just going to move out of this little sector of Figaro. And we're going to move up and around through these buildings. Just going to keep on moving. Guess we can't really steal the cider. Now here's a weapon shop. Here's what we're talking about. There's a weapon and armor shop here. Basically what you want to do here, when you notice when you're highlighting a certain weapon, look at the arrows that are pointing up and down next to the certain characters in your party. If the arrow is pointing up, that means that the selected item will make them stronger than what they're currently equipped. If it points down, that means it's weaker, and if it's an E, that means that it's currently equipped. If you happen to see an equal sign, then that means that the item you are selecting will not have a difference. It does not make them stronger or weaker. So we definitely made some purchases. They're going to make us stronger here, so we're going to equip them automatically. You can do that manually, or you can select Optimum to make the most optimum selection all at the same time. So here we are back in an armor shop. We're making some more selections here to make our characters stronger defensively so we can take more damage. Kung Fu Suit is a pretty good one for allowing you to move faster, take some damage, and just like most of these are, a lot of times you got to be careful when you're picking a certain armor type. Usually the heavier armor types, yeah, they're going to block more damage, but they're going to make you slower and less susceptible to be dodging certain things. So honestly, whenever I get armor and defensive stuff, I go for the heaviest. I don't really care about speed that much. So optimum equipment for everybody. It looks like we're good to go, I believe. And I think we're going to buy one or two more things just to be safe, because we've got a little bit of gold left over. Might as well use it all up. no sense in holding it right now. This is basically what we've earned all that gold for, and I think we are good to go. Looks like everyone's got the most optimal stuff. So now, the other thing to do is when you're short on money, where you can make some more really quick, is to sell stuff that you don't need. So sell all the shields, sell all the leather armors, leather hats. You're not going to be using those again. That's just base level stuff. Go ahead and get rid of it. Trust me on this. Now, I do recommend holding on to any kind of knives, daggers, weak swords, and things like that, because later in the game, when you actually get use of Shadow, he can actually throw some of those swords and items. So I don't recommend using those as your primary source of attacking, but you can use them in a pinch if you have nothing else. It's a very good way to get some attacking damage. Now right around here, this is kind of annoying. Normally you can walk up and down this pathway, but this annoying NPC is preventing that from happening, so we're just going to go around the long way. Here is a back entrance here. Going to go up the steps, out and around, and this is another way to kind of just get through this section of Figaro here. Going to go up through here. This is an item shop, as you can probably tell. Not a whole lot to see here. Now, normally, as I said, when you see a grandfather clock, you can typically find an elixir. We don't see one here. So, general rule of thumb, I do recommend having at least 3 of each general item type, such as you're seeing here. So, tonics, antidotes, soft, eye drops, etc. I like to have at least 3 of each, just in case I run out of magic points and I can't cast the standard heal, cure, antidote spells traditionally, which is the fastest way to do it. So having those items as backups will allow you to get rid of those status ailments in a pinch if you have to. So right about here, this is Duncan's wife, and she is confirming that he is in fact away, and that's going to be our next major journey side quest here. So we're going to be saving that actually for the next part of our journey, and we will see you in part 3 of Final Fantasy VI. Thanks for watching.